In this video, I'm going to show you the exact AI workflow that I use to take one blog post from my WordPress blog and instantly repurpose it into content for LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and my email newsletter. I've used automations like this to help generate leads worth over $27,000. Today, I'll walk you through the exact process so you can see how it works, build it for yourself and your own business. Let's get started. First off, we start in my WordPress blog. So this is one of my most recent posts, in fact, the most recent post that I published. And as you can see, there's the title, and it's quite a long post, lots of text here. And we want to chop this up into posts for different social media platforms without having to, summarize each of these different sections ourselves manually. So let me run you through how this works. We start off in make.com, and this is what the scenario looks like behind the scenes. It kicks off in WordPress, and then it runs through all these modules, and it has Claude modules here, which have prompts tailored to the different types of social media posts. LinkedIn, email newsletter, Facebook, and Twitter. And they process that blog post text and chop it up in the right way for those different platforms. And then it's all stored in Airtable here in different fields so it can be easily organized. And then finally, when everything is done, the system pings me in Slack just to let me know that new posts have been published and are ready for review. So I'm going to run this and we'll show you what everything looks like in Airtable. So we just click run once and you'll see the scenario kick into action here. It starts in WordPress. So basically what it's doing is it's going into WordPress's backend and it's extracting the whole text of the most recent blog post. And at the moment, I've just got it set up to pull one of the most recent blog posts, but you can set it up to pull more than one post if that works better for your needs. So it runs through now to this first Claude module for the LinkedIn post, and you'll see that this means that Claude is processing it. So we'll just speed this up a little bit because this will happen in the same way for all the other modules as well. And, Claude can be fairly slow, but I always pick it for writing tasks because I think it's the best quality writing AI out there. You can substitute this module for ChatGPT if you prefer, and that's fine. I just prefer Claude because I'm used to it and I like its output. So there we go. It's processed the first three and it is now finally processing the last one, which is creating the Twitter thread. This is quite a lot of intensive work. It's taking a 2,000-ish word blog post. It's chopping it up into all these different, condensing it into all these different things. Okay, so it's finally finished. And as you can see, my Slack app is bouncing to show me I've got a new message. It's letting me know that my new social posts are ready for review. And okay, here it is. It's telling me that, the link was already shared, but I'm going to click on that now. Here we go. And this takes us over to our base in Airtable where we store all these different posts. So this one's not really relevant. Let's jump straight into LinkedIn. Here we go. So the most recent one is stored at the bottom. First off, I've got the original title of the blog post, so we can, keep on track and we know which blog post has been repurposed in there. Then we've got the date when the LinkedIn post was published. And then most importantly, we've got the text of the LinkedIn post itself. So let's click in and have a look at that. So as you can see, it's chopped it up into a nicely organized and formatted post for LinkedIn with short sentences, which is quite a popular format on LinkedIn. This basically covers the whole thing. I think that the length is maybe a little bit on the long side, but this will be fine for LinkedIn. And it even has a question at the end to trigger engagement from your audience on LinkedIn and get them talking about this post. So this is pretty much ready to go. I might shorten it a little bit before I post it to LinkedIn. But generally speaking, nicely chopped up and ready to go. Then let's jump over to Facebook. And again, you can see it stored the original title, the date of this post, and here's the text. So it starts with a hook. It's like a little bit more clickbaity than the usual LinkedIn approach, because this is Facebook and it's a different format. So again, we throw in a few emojis. We have a slightly different style that's going to be more appealing for Facebook. And then we've got a hook at the end to stimulate conversation on Facebook here. So that's Facebook. Then my email newsletter. So this is going to be a different approach again. So again, the title and the date, all important information. And then here is the text of new email. Okay, it gives a subject line here. So the AI that told me exactly what I wanted to hear and why that terrified me. So as you can see, this subject line is quite enticing. It would probably make me open this if it landed in my inbox from someone else. And it opens with quite a storytelling kind of style. I'm having a 20-minute heart-to-heart with ChatGPT about a big personal decision. It's telling a story there, which is quite a common approach for email newsletters. It provides headers here, then it goes in to the rest of the story, why this matters for your business, and then it kind of segues into talking about my target audience, giving some value. And finally, it actually segues into a call to action to explore what AI automation could look like for your specific situation and invites them to book a free call. And it also uses interesting PS section at the end. So yeah, that's quite cool. I would use this for my email newsletter with maybe some light editing. But yeah, pretty much ready to go. And then the final one is chopping up the blog post to work well on Twitter. And this can also be used on Threads or Blue Sky because they're all the same format. It's basically a thread where you start with a hook in the first tweet. So let's have a look. You start with tweet 1, which is the hook. Then it goes into a thread with the little thread icon here. Okay, and then it's got all the different tweets laid out by number, telling the story here in a very short, punchy kind of style that would work well on these platforms. And we go all the way to tweet 10. And then finally, tweet 11 is the call to action, asking them to follow me for insights on AI, democracy, and digital manipulation. So yeah. This is pretty nice. I could copy paste this directly into Twitter. There you go. That is how the system works from end to end. In the next section, I am going to walk you through exactly how to build this setup in make.com. And I will also be including the full template and the prompts in the description. So you'll be able to just plug and play this into your own version of make.com and quickly and easily set everything up and start using it in your own business. So yeah, let's jump in and I'll show you how to set it up. I'm going to show you exactly how to build this exact automation from scratch. So in your copy of make.com, we need to create a new scenario. So let's head over here to the homepage. And at the top, just click create scenario. And that will take us to a blank canvas. The first module we need in our flow is WordPress. This is going to be the trigger. Whenever a new WordPress post is published, you can set this automation to start running automatically. So you always have those social media posts ready to go. So to do that, we are going to put the watch post trigger here. And make sure you add your connections. Just to run you through how to do this quickly. You will need to have your WordPress REST API base URL. Let me just walk you through how to find that in the back end of WordPress because it could be a bit tricky and it actually tripped me up at the beginning. So I've got like a demo user here, so I don't reveal my real API key. And you just have to go over to Profile. Scroll down here and look for application passwords. And we're going to just call it something like make demo, and then click add application password, and it will generate a password here which allows you to link WordPress backend with make.com. So copy that because you're not going to be able to get it again, and then head back over to make. What you would do is put that in this field, and then here in the API base URL field, I'll show you what to put. Basically, it's this. But you take this example.com part out and you just replace it with the URL of your website, right? Like mine would be samanthanorth.com. And then you just save that and you can change the name of the connection if you want. And that will give you a new connection ready to go. So I'm going to stick with this one because this is already connected to my website, samanthanorth.com. So I'm going to set up this to watch every time I publish a new post. So first of all, the type. We're focusing on posts here. And we want ones that are published. And we're going to keep the limit at 1. So it just grabs the first result at the moment. And we'll choose manually just to keep it simple to start with. You know, you can also set this to run automatically in the background. But for the purposes of the demonstration, we'll just be choosing manually. So we'll start with the first one again here. Okay, so you might notice that I'm using watch posts here, whereas in the scenario that I demoed to you, I used search posts. Well, the reason for this is that for the demo purposes, search posts just let me pick manually which posts I wanted to run through the automation. But when you're actually using this for a live build, it's better to have watch posts, because then you know that this automation will sit silently in the background and it will wait for you to publish a new blog post and then it will run. This is what the clock means. It means that it's watching and waiting for new posts. So for this build, we're going to use watch posts instead of search posts. So that is the WordPress one, all set up and ready to go. Now, WordPress outputs your blog posts in HTML format. And that's really messy, right? Like there are lots of tags in there and lots of unnecessary stuff that could be confusing for the AI tools to process. So to make that all cleaner, the next module we're going to add is a text parser, which will just grab that text from WordPress and it will turn it into neatly formatted text that your AI tools can easily work on. So as you can see, this list here is just grabbing all the fields that came through from WordPress. So we are going to look for the content of the post. Here it is. And that is what will be pulled in through the text parser. And I'm just going to save this in case we lose it. It doesn't auto-save. Demo build. There we go. So we'll just make sure that one is saved. Okay, so far we're watching your WordPress site for newly published blog posts, and then we're taking the latest result, grabbing the HTML directly from WordPress, and then we're passing that into plain text so we can more easily process it in the next sections. Okay, now next up, we need to do 4 different but similar actions on this, right? We need to turn it into a LinkedIn post, a Facebook post, an email newsletter, and a Twitter thread. So that's when we add a router, so we can route all of the this text to these 4 different points. So we'll use flow control, and we'll select a router. And as you can see, this pops up with options to add these different branches into your workflow. So for the first one here, we are going to add Claude. And we're going to click Create a Prompt. Now, if you haven't already connected Claude to your make.com, you'll need to click Add here and go over to console.anthropic.com, generate your API key and add your API key here. Okay, and then click Save, and it will start a new connection. I've already got mine hooked up, so I'm just going to move forward and show you how to set this up. So in terms of model, now Claude is always my go-to for writing tasks. Yeah, I find it very smart, and I like the default style. But there are a few models to choose from, so it might be a bit confusing. Lots of these are actually old ones. So I would recommend Claude Sonnet 4. It's the most recent version of Sonnet. And although Opus is better for deep reasoning, for the purposes of this content, I think Sonnet is more than good enough for our purposes. Max tokens, I'm just going to put 4,000 to make sure we've got enough to read a long blog post and generate a piece of social content. Now, add message. This is where you put the prompt. So in Claude, we put the main role as user, and then we add the prompt content below. This is going to be a text prompt, and then we add the whole prompt in here. So I'm going to go to my Google Doc and find the text of the prompt for LinkedIn. As you can see, I've included 3 examples of my previous posts. I've given it context, I've given it a task, and I've clearly headed these so it knows exactly what to do in this prompt. And yeah, I've given it 3 examples of my own previous LinkedIn posts here. So you can do the same. You can just copy paste, cut these out, copy all of this, get rid of it, and replace it with 3 of your own. I've also told it what the structure should be, to start with a strong hook. And I've given it some hook frameworks here and more instructions on the writing requirements and the output format. So I'm just going to grab all of that, and I'm going to get that and paste it into this prompt field here. There we go. It's all in there. And just to make sure we've got the right thing, we are going to make sure we're piping through the right stuff from WordPress. So first of all, we need the title of the blog post. And secondly, we need to go to the text parser and we need to grab the output that we brought from that to make sure we avoid that HTML. Okay, everything is in there. Output format is correct. Only the LinkedIn post text, no other explanations or introductions, as it can sometimes like to do. And then we click save, and that is set up. So let's just click save on Make again. Okay, and then next up, we are going to add the Airtable module. Okay, next up, we need to add an Airtable module to our make.com workflow. But before that, we need to actually jump into airtable.com and set up the basic framework for the tables that we are going to use. So I've opened a new blank table here, called it Social Posts Demo. And I am going to add tables for each of these types of social media posts. So we're going to keep it really simple here. This is going to be original title. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's good to keep track of which blog post the social post came from. Okay. Here we are just going to have the date. Okay. And this is going to be long text. And this is where we are going to put the post text for the new LinkedIn post. Okay, then everything else we can get rid of. So let's just get rid of that one, get rid of that one, and get rid of that one. We're keeping it really simple for now. You might want to add new fields to represent different parts of the workflow if needed, different bits of information. But for now, this should be enough. So I'm going to call that LinkedIn posts. Okay, and let's see if we can duplicate that. Yes, duplicate. One more time, duplicate. And one more time. Okay, this makes life a lot easier. Everything can be exactly the same. So I'm just going to rename that one Facebook posts. Then here we've got email newsletter. And finally, tweets. I'm not very good at typing these days because I usually voice dictate. Okay, so that should be ready to go. Original title, date, and post text. So let's now see if we can get into that from within make.com. So I'm going to add a new module here, and it's going to be Airtable. And we are going to create a record. So this basically, this will take our information that we brought through from WordPress, from the rest of our workflow, and it will use it to create a new record in this part of Airtable. So let me show you how to set this up. Again, I've already hooked up my table here. I recommend using OAuth in Airtable to set yours up, but it's best just to jump into the Airtable help, and it should be pretty easy to set up. I'm not going to go through it in this video. So this is my base, and we're looking for the table that we just created. So, okay, let's try the other one. I think it's actually this one. Yeah, here we go. Okay, social post demo. So this is the one that we just created. And because this is the LinkedIn branch, I'm going to select the LinkedIn table because that's the destination that we want these all to go into. Okay, as you can see, these are the fields that we just created in Airtable. And now we need to specify what information we want to be populated in those fields. So for original title, I'm going to go back to the WordPress module, and I am just going to grab title from there. Here it is. For date, I'm going to use make.com's inbuilt feature and just put now, because that will be exactly at the time it was generated. And for post text, we need to put the output from Claude, because Claude has created the LinkedIn post and we need to capture that in Airtable. So we click text response, and there we go. That should, I don't think we need to do that. No. Okay, so 3 simple fields, and that should pipe everything directly from the beginning all the way through to the end to be stored in this table that we just created. So I'm going to click save, and then we'll save the whole automation before we move on. Okay, now next we're going to set up the second branch, which is, I believe, for Facebook posts. So let's go ahead and we can delete that. So what we're going to do, this makes life a lot easier. We are just going to clone this. And as you can see, it connects automatically with a new route. And we are going to clone this as well. So this is really nice because it makes things a lot faster. However, there are a few tweaks that we need to make. Most importantly, in the Claude module, we need to make sure we've got the correct prompt for Facebook. In fact, let's rename this so we know which ones we are. This is LinkedIn, and I'm going to call this Facebook. There we go. Okay. So once again, it's replicated most of the stuff from the original one, which makes things really easy. But of course, this prompt is tailored to LinkedIn. So we need to go back to the Google Doc, and we need to get the one that is tailored specifically for Facebook. And you can see it's got role, task, example, and output format here. So yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to get rid of all of that, paste in this one, and I also need to make sure we update this to make sure it's the right information that's being piped through. So title, we need to make sure it's that. And the text body needs to be the text that got passed from HTML into text. So yeah, that should be everything we need for the Facebook module. So we save that. And now we just need to make sure the Airtable module is capturing data in the right place. Most importantly, we need to switch the table. So we need to make sure the data is going to our Facebook posts table here instead of the LinkedIn one to keep everything nicely organized. Once again, like we did before, we set up the original title. We do today's date straight from here, now, and the post text, which is going to come from the text response from the AI. So there we go. Click save and click save again on the whole thing. And that one's done. All right, we're going pretty well. Let's do the next one. Once again, nice simple clone and a nice simple clone. There we go. And they automatically connect to one another. This one is going to be for email newsletter. So let's just call it email. We cloned this one from Facebook, so this contains the Facebook prompt. Again, we head over here and I'm going to grab all of this, which is the instructions for the email newsletter. Once again, we've got the role, and this is an expert email copywriter. So you can see it's quite different from the Facebook one. It lays out the task, it gives them some subject lines that increase the open rates, and it gives them an example of one of my previous emails so they get an idea for my style. This is really important. So this is quite a long prompt. So yeah, we'll grab this and we're going to get rid of this and copy paste that one instead. Okay, now we just need to make sure it's pulling in the right information again. So again, title comes from WordPress and the text comes from the text parser. There we go. Everything else stays the same. As for Airtable, you can guess what we need to do. We need to make sure it's going into the email newsletter table and not any of the others. Set it up, title, date, and the text of the post, again, from the unique module set up for email newsletter. Did I save it? Yeah. Okay, that's all saved. So there we go. We click save. Everything's looking good so far. Of course, I have to do one more cloning just to get the one for Twitter. And as you can see, it's going to connect. We're getting a bit full here. When things get a bit full and chaotic, you can just click this button called Auto Align, and Make will just put them all into place very quickly. So I like to keep things organized. Okay, and finally, this one is going to be Twitter. Twitter, we are going to set up that prompt by going over here and getting what I wrote for Twitter. As you can see, I want this one to be a Twitter thread because it's a blog post, it's long form content. So, it's going to be pretty hard to cram that into just one tweet, which is why we're going for the thread format instead, which is usually about 9 to 10 tweets. Okay, so copy paste that in. This time we're not going to bother with the title. We're just going to give it the blog post text itself. The title doesn't really help much here. So there we go. Once more in Airtable, we'll make sure this is linked up to our final table, which is called tweets. Slap the blog post title in there. And the text of the post from this Claude module. Okay, there we go. Now the final step is optional, but I like to do it because it just finishes it off nicely. It's adding a Slack module, or you could also add an email module or Telegram, whatever you like. But the purpose of this is just to let you or your team know that a blog post has been published and that the new social posts are ready for review. What I like to do is, just pick my channel here. I think I use marketing. Let's just see what we've got. Let's try social for this. Hey, your new posts are ready for review. Please click the link to see them. And then I can just get a link from the table. Click share and create link. Share publicly and just switch this on. And that creates a nice clean link that we can then use to put into Slack. Okay, it's working. It was a bit slow for a second there. Okay, so there we go. We've copied that link and we just need to add that to the Slack message. And that is exactly what will show up in Slack once your posts are ready to go. So I'm going to click save. Hopefully that will work. Did I have the... Yeah, it's a public channel. Okay, perfect. So that is ready to go. So there we go. Let's click save. And now the next step is just to test it. Let's run the whole workflow and just watch it work and see it do its thing. So we head over here, we just click run once and we watch the magic happen. Here it goes. It's going through WordPress now. So it's grabbing the whole text of that blog post, sending it through. It's passed the text very quickly. And then it sends it through the first branch to the first Claude module on the list. That will take a bit of time to process. There it is. And now it's sending it to Airtable and it's going to the next branch, creating the Facebook post. Again, we'll skip ahead a little bit on this because it's all going to be the same thing, but the results are going to be cool and definitely worth the wait. Now we're in email, creating the email newsletter. Perfect, that one's in Airtable, and the final branch is to Twitter to create that thread. There we go. The whole thing is complete. We've got these little one bubbles over each of the modules, which if you're not that familiar with make.com, it means everything works successfully. And the final message has been outputted into Slack. So we'll jump over to Slack, and here we are. We've got a message letting us know that the new social posts are ready. So we click into our Airtable and let's have a quick look. You can see that a new post has now been created right here with the same title as that blog post, today's date, and the post text right there. A nice, fresh LinkedIn post, almost ready to go. And for Facebook, there we go again, same one, just been published. Same topic, obviously it came from the blog, just chopped up for Facebook. Email newsletter right there with a nice subject line. Nice story style, longer than the other ones, of course. And finally, the Twitter thread. Right here. All of those tweets, all 10 of them. So yeah, there we go. The workflow works perfectly and everything is good, and it's notified me in Slack and my posts are now ready to go. Now, one thing you could do with this to take it further is you could actually add modules to auto post all of that content to your social channels. But personally, I like to keep a bit of control and I like to be the one that gives them the final review. So yeah, you can do that. Your mileage might vary, but it's up to you. If you found this tutorial useful, make sure to hit subscribe because I'm going to be sharing more AI automations like this every week from now on. And if you want to go deeper into this stuff, I'm putting together a private community where we'll focus on using AI systems, not just to save time, but also to build lasting authority and get your business found in the new world of AI search. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.